Welcome to the Orange Twist, your 10-minute shot of insight to shake up your thinking on leadership, culture, and change. Hosted by Giovanna D'Alessio, Master Certified Coach. Welcome to the Orange Twist, your 10-minute shot of insight to shake up your thinking on leadership, culture, and change. Hosted by Giovanna D'Alessio, Master Certified Coach. Episode 3. The team is not the problem, it's the space between. You've seen it happen. A team of competent, caring professionals becomes bogged down in drama, miscommunication, or apathy. Fingers start pointing, energy drops, coaching is called in. And the question echoes, who's the problem here? But what if the better question is, where is the problem? David Clutterbuck, pioneer in team coaching, reminds us that great teams are not defined by the sum of their members, but by the quality of connection between them. It's not just who is in the room, it's what lives in the space between them. And this space is subtle. It holds the unspoken norms, emotional residue, and power currents that shape how a team functions. Peter Hawkins calls it the team's collective field of awareness. And, like any field, it needs tending. The space between is where culture lives, formed not by slogans or values on the wall, but by moment-to-moment interactions. It is shaped by how we listen, how we interrupt, how we recover from tension. And it is constantly co-created and often unconsciously so. Our language tends to frame problems as located in individuals. Like, he is not a team player, or she dominates every meeting. But this view narrows our perception. It blinds us to the patterns and dynamics that keep everyone locked in roles. When we widen our lens, we start saying that what we often interpret as personality issues are actually symptoms of a relational field under stress. Relational fields can carry past wounds, a history of being dismissed, a culture of blame, a leader who once reacted harshly. These egos linger. They become atmospheres. They shape how much risk people are willing to take in speaking up or in showing up fully. And just like soil, the relational field can be fertile or depleted. A team might have the best tools, the clearest strategy, the smartest people, and still flounder. Why? Because the soil is compacted, the space between has hardened. So, what can we do? First, cultivate awareness. This means tuning into not just what is being said, but how it is being said and what is not being said. Practice peripheral listening. Notice what happens in your body as you listen to others. Are you contracting, bracing, or softening? Second, build your capacity to name, not from judgment, but from observation. You might say, well, I noticed that there's a lot of silence after certain comments. Or, it feels like we are rushing past something important. These reflections make the invisible visible. Third, invite the system to participate in its own healing. Ask the group questions like, what is the story we are telling ourselves about how this team should function? What are we avoiding and why? What agreements, spoken or unspoken, are shaping our interactions? These questions are not quick fixes, but they open space for transformation. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. The team can become its own coach. When trust builds, the group begins to self-regulate, self-reflect, and self-correct. That's when the real magic happens. Not because someone imposed a new rule, but because the team reclaimed its agency. This kind of work doesn't require special tools. It requires presence, permission, and patience. Presence to notice, permission to name, and patience to allow the system to recalibrate. Because teams, at their core, are spiritual playgrounds. They test our assumptions. They challenge our egos. They call us into relational maturity. And when we attend to the space between, we move from blame to belonging, from rigidity to rhythm, from isolation to interconnection. Consider setting aside time in your next team offsite, not to plan more, but to pause more. Try devoting an hour just to explore the relational dynamics. What energizes us? What drains us? Where are we free and where do we feel constrained? Make it safe to surface the truth. And don't rush to solve. Stay with the noticing. If you are facilitating a team, become a steward of tone. Begin meetings with a moment of stillness. End with a moment of gratitude. Ask, what are we learning about ourselves as a team? And what wants to happen next through us? Also, bring curiosity to chronic patterns. If one person always rescues, or another always withdraws, ask yourself, what role are they enacting on behalf of the system? What might shift if we explored the need behind the behavior? You might also experiment with a practice that I call relational diagnostics. Once a month, take time as a team to review not tasks, but patterns. What repeated moves do we see? What reactions do they spark? Where is energy flowing and where is it stuck? And what if you treated the team as a collective consciousness? What if you imagined the team not as a sum of parts, but as a single being, capable of sensing, learning, and growing? What does that being need right now? More courage, more stillness, more play? Now pause here. Reflect on your own team. What do you sense lives in the space between you? How often do you make the space conscious, deliberate, secret even? Try walking into your next team session with that awareness. Let it be an experiment. Let it teach you. Let it surprise you. And finally, begin to view every tension as a portal, not to be solved or smoothed over too quickly, but entered into. What wisdom lies beneath that awkward silence? What opportunity is hidden in that repeated disagreement? What is the team trying to become beneath the noise? When we listen with this kind of attention, we step into the realm of generative leadership. We stop managing teams and start stewarding potential. Because the team is not the problem. The problem is in the space between. Now, before we close, here's a final provocation. What if your team meetings become rituals of connection rather than transactions of information? What if time together was sacred, not scheduled? What might shift if the team gathered not to produce, but to sense, to sync, to realign? This is the slow work, the quiet revolution. It won't trend on LinkedIn, but it might just change everything. If this episode stirs something in you, subscribe to The Orange Twist, your weekly shot of insight on leadership, culture, and change, served with a twist. So join me next time for another fresh pour of perspective.